Melt Show is intended for a mature audience. It contains adult themes, adult content, and sometimes adult language. Listener discretion is advised.
It's the Full Metal Show.
Pro-marijuana groups looking for their next move after Issue 3 failed on Election Day. And the Ohio Attorney General is a part of that conversation. 2 News reporter Pierre Chaledme telling us how he plans on helping move that process forward.
Ohio Attorney General Mike DeWine stopped by our studio today. He says he was always vocal with his opposition for Responsible Ohio's Issue 3, but he says he also knows Ohio wants the drug legalized, so he's trying to help. The Attorney General says his office has put together a study of what other states are doing. That study will be given to state lawmakers who are now discussing the possibility of creating a law to legalize medical marijuana. DeWine visited Colorado as part of his study. He says that state is not a good model for what would be best for Ohio. DeWine says his staff has a better idea of what could benefit the Buckeye State.
You could provide that medical marijuana would be available, but only if it was in pill form. It could not be smoked. In pill form, it would have to be ordered by a doctor for a very limited number of purposes or reasons. And it would have to be made by pharmaceutical companies, so it wouldn't be just someone in their basement trying to put this stuff together.
DeWine does acknowledge that a majority of Ohioans want medical marijuana legalized, but he says it has to be done in a more restrictive way than Responsible Ohio's amendment proposal. No word yet on whether lawmakers will be headed to the drawing board to try and put something together.
You weed legalizing mile-high piece of shit.
Are you high? What are you talking about?
It's the Full Melt.
The Full Melt Show. A marijuana discussion about news, culture, politics, and lifestyle. FullMelt.com. Toll free. 844-420-TALK. 844-420-TALK.
You weed legalizing mile-high piece of shit. Is it just me that does it? Anybody who has done or known anything about the world of cannabis activism and or the process of legalization had to have their blood boiling when they heard Ohio's Attorney General Mike DeWine right there saying that he's a jackass. I mean, that's effectively what he said, isn't it? It seems to me. I mean, okay. Let's just review this, shall we? I'm going to see if we can come back. I hope this doesn't screw it. See, it's going to probably do that. I don't care. I'm going to play the part again. Anyways, here's the part where Mike DeWine talks.
Pro-marijuana groups looking for their next move after Issue 3 failed on...
Wait a minute, that's not the part where he's talking. Let me get to the part where he's talking. Hold on. It's giving me a hard time now. Do. Oh, why does it do this to me? I hate it when it does this, but let's just do it anyways. Here we go. What in the world? This looks like an awful take. Where's Mike DeWine?
Conversation. 2 News reporter Pierre Chaledme telling us how he plans on helping move that process forward.
It's terrible.
Ohio Attorney General Mike DeWine stopped by.
Hang on, hold up. Quiet on the set. All right, let me just take this from here. I'm doing some live editing while we're... Oops. I didn't want to exactly do that. Hang on, I got to undo that now. Thank God for the undo button, I'll tell you that. Oh, this is painful. I don't like doing that. Okay, I'm just not going to do that then. Let's just do this. Let's do this instead. I'm just trying to play the DeWine part. Is this it?
You could provide that medical marijuana would be available, but only if it was in pill form.
Wait a minute. Let's just back up because is that what he... Let's see.
Has a better idea of what could benefit.
Okay, he's got a better idea, right? He's got a better idea, says the reporter. A better idea than what Responsible Ohio had put forth. Let's just examine that better idea for a second because it makes my blood boil. I heard it once and my blood was on fire. Let's just try it again. Oh, Here we go.
You could provide that medical marijuana would be available, but only if it was in pill form.
Okay, wait a minute. So it's only in pill form, and you can't smoke it. Now, he doesn't say anything about oil form. He doesn't say anything about any other form, just the pill form. So if your ailment requires some other form, forget about it.
You could provide that medical marijuana would be available, but only if it was in pill form. It could not be smoked in pill.
Okay, now wait a minute. Now, the reporter also said that Mr. Mike DeWine, the Attorney General for the state of Ohio, understands that people of the state of Ohio want marijuana legalized. So he wants to help, but he has a better idea. Because he doesn't like, first off, Mr. Attorney General, you're part of the executive branch. You are not part of the legislative branch. Get that through your thick knob. This means you don't get to craft legislation, although you like to do that from your pulpit there in the Attorney General's office. You are not blessed with that gift, Mr. DeWine. You don't get to craft the legislation that takes place in the state of Ohio. And you know what? Since the legislators won't do it, because you already said it, the people there want legal marijuana. If you can just get it according to your better idea in pill form, oh, that's a better idea. Everybody, I'll bet you get 100,000 people jumping on your better idea, you jackass. Better idea. And then, let's just examine it in further detail.
In pill form, it would have to be ordered by a doctor for a very limited number of purposes.
Okay, wait, it's got to be ordered by a doctor. Ordered by a doctor. That sounds an awful lot like a prescription to me. It seems to me that if the doctor orders marijuana, it goes against his DEA license, and that would place the doctor in jeopardy. So your better idea is really no idea, isn't it, Mr. DeWine? You numbskull? You're supposed to be the state's legal defender and scholar. You're a numbskull jackass. What, did you go to Bill Shooting School? Seriously, Mr. DeWine. You embarrassed the legal profession. Let's see what else your numbskullery ideas come up with, shall we? Let's examine further, painful as it is, ad nauseum.
And it would have to be made by pharmaceutical companies, so it wouldn't be just someone in their basement trying to put this stuff together.
Okay, wait a minute. So far you were 0 for 2. Now you're 0 for 3. You brainiac. It's got to be made by a pharmaceutical company. So what you're essentially saying in couched language is your better idea doesn't take place until the federal government makes a march forward. Isn't that what you're saying, Mr. DeWine? Your better idea doesn't exist, does it, Mr. DeWine? I'm sorry. I had to get that off my system, out of my chest, out of my system. It's toxic, those words. And this is what people who take an opposing position, in my point of view, that it was the right thing to do to get rid of that awful oligarchy bill of capitalism, binding up the marijuana market for the wealthy few, leaving all others asunder to fry in a jail. I mean, that was the big plan. That was the grand plan. It was a bad idea, but Mr. DeWine's idea is worse. And the people who say that I'm a jackass for being a marijuana quote-unquote proponent, because I clearly am. Personally, I am. And that what you're doing is you're burying Ohio's chances. This is all bad faith. Oh, this is horrible, horrible news. And the people there can't get their marijuana now. You should have just done it. No, you shouldn't have either. But they're going to say that, look, this is the result. Here's what you get, Green. That's what you get for talking those guys in Ohio into squashing issue number 3. Because now you're just going to get medical, and it's going to be some diatribe BS version of medical that means it doesn't really exist. See, it's a tale. It's a tale like Santa Claus or the Easter Bunny or the Tooth Fairy. It's a tale, but it's not true. It's a legend, but it has no reality. That's what I'm recharacterize the chase in Ohio. That's what I want to do. Recharacterize it into something that makes sense. Because right now what's going on doesn't make any sense, does it? I just can't see a world in which what's happening in Ohio makes a great deal of sense. I just got to double check and make sure here that we're on target with, because I think playing that audio may have screwed with our timeline, and I believe it did. So let me just get it back on track so that it's, on time. We don't want to screw with the timeline of the program by any means. It's going to be, I think this thing in Ohio is going to be the bane of my existence for the coming near future. I've already got a headache about it. I mean, Jacob Wagner of Ohioans to End Prohibition says he hasn't slept in 5 days. I don't know if that's from excitement, or I don't know if that's because he, wet the bed. I mean, I don't know why he didn't sleep in 5 days. I still can't get off the Facebook about it. People still arguing one side and the other about what this is and what this isn't and what should have happened and what shouldn't happen. I can tell you what should happen. Shouldn't we all hold hands and march forth together with the same thing that we've all been talking about before? Win, lose, or draw, there's still a marijuana future in Ohio. The question is, what will it be? You can't change the past. So I would, rather than argue about the past, let's look towards the future, learn from the past, apply it to the future, and march forth with steadfast wisdom and unity. That's what I say. All the rest can just jump in a lake as far as I'm concerned. Nothing has changed my view or opinion about the legalization of cannabis or about the issue of taking drugs out of the hands of the criminal justice system, because it's horribly abused, horribly mismanaged, horribly mistreated, and put in the hand of social welfare.
You're getting the full melt.
What's up with these things, Victor?
We decided to give ourselves stickers for each feature we release.
We read about 10,000 suggestions a week to create features that, as traders, we'd want to use.
10,000 suggestions? Who reads all of those?
He does.
For all the confidence you need, TD Ameritrade, you got this.
It's Steve Green for the Sweet Leaf in Flint, because now getting safe access to medical cannabis patients in Flint, Michigan is never more welcoming. Presenting the Sweet Leaf, a brand new patient experience, bringing 12 carefully selected caregivers housed in 9 separate offices to distinctly assist you with their knowledge and reputation for excellent patient care. Classes and training coming soon in the large community room. Check it out in person, 400 South Door Highway, or call 810-259-2571. The Sweet Leaf Center in Flint, 810-259-2571.
Got something to hide? Canalock offers discreet and effective storage solutions that destroy odor, so nobody knows. Canalock is a patented charcoal-activated bag that discreetly stores your marijuana. Canalock is made from the same material as military chemical warfare suits. Get yours at canalock.com. Visit canalock.com to learn more about no-smell technology.
Introducing Sacred Elements, a place for natural and alternative healing for the mind, body, and soul. Sacred Elements. It's one place, all solutions. Registered, licensed, certified, ordained. Sacred Elements. Massage, hypnosis, Reiki. Sacred Elements. Raindrop, aroma and color therapy, body detox, ministry, life coaching, weight and nutrition counseling. Sacred Elements. Next to the Sweet Leaf, 400 South Dorr Highway, Flint. 11 to 7 daily, closed Sunday. Call 810-259-2570.
Don't miss the first ever cannabis competition this year as the prize contest moved from Amsterdam to Jamaica. That's right, it's all Jamaican fun now with the Big Cup competition in Negril this November. Get your best travel accommodations now at JamaicaPot.com. Pack your beach bong and swimsuit and party down at the warm sandy beaches of Negril, Jamaica for the first ever big cannabis event this year. Do it in style or come have fun on a budget. Best travel prices now at JamaicaPot.com. That's JamaicaPot.com.
It's the Full Melt Radio Show. Radio Show.
to you? Does it seem right to you that that's what should be going on? That the guy in the executive branch, because that's where the law enforcement branch is. It's the executive branch of government. And we have a separation of powers for a reason. Because too much power in one place, left in the hands of too few, is too easily abused. And I think that's what's going on. I mean, in Michigan, you've got one branch of government lobbying the other, which I think is wholly unconstitutional. Look, as a branch of government, you don't get a say in how another branch of government does its damn business. You don't. And so you've got the law enforcement in the executive branch of government lobbying the legislature formally with money and power from the township associations and other places in Michigan, lobbying the government, the legislature, to do certain things. And they're doing it with a level of money that is taxpayer money or group money that otherwise would not exist were it not for the existence of the government itself. In other words, you can't have a township association without townships. And one would assume that the members of the township association are indeed the townships. So if you're the township association and you're lobbying the legislature, I guess, but what about the prosecuting attorneys? See, they're from the executive branch too. They have no business lobbying the legislature out of the hands of the will of the voters, of the people. And the example here in Michigan is clear. The same thing exists now in Ohio after this recent vote. The example exists where the people have spoken. They've been clear and loud about what they want. And the legislature stands there with their hands over their ears going, la, 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 I can't hear you. Because all I can hear is where that money's coming from. And it's coming from over there. They don't want what you want. I got to get elected again to represent you. And the only way I can do it is with that money over there. But then I'm not representing you. I'm representing them. Because you didn't give me any money. They did. You live in my district. They don't. You see what the government's doing? They got no business. And the same thing goes with DeWine over there. The people have spoken clear and loud in the polls. Just the polls. He asked Ohioans this question. Do you want marijuana legalized recreationally and medically? The overwhelming majority is yes. Poll after poll after poll. This is why these people have spent this money in Ohio to do this their way, to get to the ballot first. The thinking was if we get there first, the sentiment is so high, no pun intended, about marijuana, that it will get voted in. Whoever gets to the ballot first wins. It didn't work that way. It's not going to work that way. And Mr. DeWine, your terrible idea about only offering medical marijuana and only offering it through a doctor's prescription and only offering it after a pharmaceutical company has made it into a pill is dead on arrival because you're a dumbass. Don't you think, Mr. DeWine, that everybody else in this country hasn't already thought of that, you brilliant piece of shit? I'm sorry, but I can't stand it when old men with old line thinking like that. This is an old man out there in Ohio. That he doesn't understand, or maybe he does. Maybe he already knows that that's what's going on, but he's still lying through his teeth to the rest of his citizens. When instead he's supposed to be defending what those guys want. He's supposed to be the people's lawyer. And if the people want something, why isn't the lawyer doing what the people want? Again, it's because of that money, isn't it? It's so painful. I got to get off that thing. The vitriol coming out of me over this is just crazy. And it's because of stupidity. I can't stand stupidity. It really bugs me when people just throw all caution to the wind and all knowledge, all wisdom is out the door because of knee-jerk billy goat reaction. So there you go. But, it had to come out. It had to come out. And there's going to be more that comes out, unfortunately. The big story that I build the program with today. Oh, and by the way, just so we can put a cap on that Ohio thing, Jacob Wagner says, hey, you guys, this is a post for about an hour ago on Facebook. Hey, y'all, we've got over 2,000 new volunteers since Tuesday night. That's like a lot. You see what happens? You see what you did to Responsible Ohio? Not only did you Get your own volunteers were opposed to your position. They weren't volunteers. They were paid by you. Remember? That's the difference between one of these paid efforts and a grassroots effort. Very different things. Really easy for you to ride on the backs of the people who are grassroots and stand right next to them where they're going and collecting their signatures successfully and try and confuse the issue by being so close. Oh, did you sign the marijuana petition? Oh, well, we already signed it over there. Well, yeah, but that guy's got a different petition. Oh, well, I don't know. I'm confused. I got stuff I got to do. I already signed one. Bye. And that's what they do. Great trickery afoot when so much money's at play. Or at least the appearance of a great deal of money. I mean, we're talking about the wholesale level. I think the vast majority of the money arguably won't be made at the wholesale level. It will be made at the retail level, where other products, goods, and services that support the marijuana that's being sold there are also for sale. That's where the money's at. It's in that retail. So maybe all this argument about, I don't know, the argument could be made. If I were to play devil's advocate about my own position, the argument could be made that it all doesn't matter anyways. Big business is going to take in and take over production. They've done it with every other thing. Why not this commodity too? There's no good answer to that question other than you're right. And then also, if the vast majority, as you say, of the money is going to be made at the dispensary level and at the grow shop levels, that's where the money's going to be made in Ohio. Don't get me wrong. If you want to make a bunch of money in Ohio and be in the safest place you can be, go open a damn grow shop and do it now. That's where the money's going to be made in the next few days when they get this done. As soon as that gate opens, it's not done. It's not done yet. So you have to wait until the next election cycle now, or until the legislature does something. And if it's anything close to what Mr. DeWine's proposing, good Lord, hold on to your ankles, grab them hard. In the meanwhile, the responsible Ohio people have, in their failure, created an infrastructure that's willing to jump onto their own grassroots efforts of some people with a better idea, in my opinion. And obviously, I think even in the opinions of the volunteers or the people you had working for your own camp, Responsible Ohio, they didn't like your idea any more than the people that they were gathering signatures from on it. They didn't. So you created some 2,000 new volunteers to help ensure the fact that OTEP gets their stuff on the ballot for next year. And then all this stuff that the legislature wants to talk about in the meanwhile means nothing. And all, Responsible Ohio going back to the drawing board. Look, you guys should have been through those drawing boards before you came with that first proposal, you idiots. Ian James said, if and he said this before the results were in on Tuesday night, if indeed we're miserably defeated, maybe we don't come back. But if we are defeated and it's not miserable, and I think everybody would say that they were miserably defeated, a 2-1 tromping in an election cycle like this does count as miserable defeat. It qualifies under miserable. That they might come back with, and figure out what they did wrong. Well, don't you see what you did wrong? You came in with greedy bags of money that were empty. The bags were empty. Y'all had your open bags out. Look, these were expensive bags. You came with your hand out instead of, trying to help create a marketplace that made sense that people would have an appreciation for and could stand up and get behind. You failed to create the overwhelming support in a coalition of citizens necessary to get this done. Instead, you were a divider. And you went out there with the Buddy the Mascot thing and looked like fools. And rather than get people to copy them in their notebooks and make art of him and celebrate Buddy, they made fun of him. If ever there was a poster child of how not to run, especially a legalization bill through the ballot initiative process in any state, this is now that. Indicators, moving on, are, according to an article I saw posted today in one of our media partners over at marijuanapatients.org. If you go to MPO, marijuanapatients.org, you'll see that there was a story posted there today about billionaire trucking mogul hijacks Michigan Medical Marijuana Act. In 2008, the state of Michigan enacted the most protective and liberal medical cannabis law in the nation, quotes the article. The progressive law offered patients and providers near absolute immunity from arrest. I think the courts arguably would disagree. However, judges, prosecutors, and police, unwilling to give up control and revenue, steered the law elsewhere. These three groups, the Axis powers, knowingly and purposely sidestepped the will of the 63% of Michigan voters. That, indeed, they did. Today, you're more likely to be charged with a marijuana offense in Michigan than before passage of the 2008 ballot initiative. As Carl Levin said, Carl Levin was a U.S. Senator here, you make the law, and I'll make the policy, and I'll win every time. Like slavery, and any industry will do anything to protect itself. Truly a police state. Even one that can intimidate the legislature. Those aren't my words. Those are the article's words. I'll say it again. Like slavery, any industry will do anything to protect itself. Truly a police state. Even one that can intimidate the legislature. Do you hear those words? And that, I'm saying, is a violation of the Constitution and the separation of powers. What is that, Article 3? I don't even remember. I had to look it up. Recent legislation in front of the Michigan legislature attempts to curb the bad actions of the triad by providing good steps forward and allowing patients to get their medicine and suppliers to supply it without the fear of arrest. The one glaring exception to moving forward with the proposal and legislative fixes is that every time the product is moved closer to market, it would require an armored truck for shipping the seed to the farm, farm to storage, storage to test facility, testing to packaging, and then off to the retail store, the pharmacy, or the distribution point of sale. This armored transport, and it's really not just armored, it's armed. Component added by State Senator Steve Bida is projected to increase medication costs to the consumer by as much as 70% and will most likely drive the business back underground. And to top it off, this armored transportation is said to be reserved for one single company. Senator Bida says it's a security issue. Quote, you have to be concerned about the security of, it's most likely an armored truck is required when you think of the value of the items being transported. It's possibly people transporting the product could be targets for robbery. End quote. The only robbers to date have been the Axis powers, says the article. Not surprising to some, Bida's largest corporate citizen within his Senate district is Centra Inc., the billion-dollar trucking company owned by billionaire Matty Maroon. You know Matty Maroon, don't you? He owns the glorious Ambassador Bridge. It's currently the only bridge in the southeast Detroit area, save the Blue Water up in Port Huron, that connects Canada to the United States. It's an international bridge, and a glorious one at that. Billionaire Matty Maroon owns that bridge, and I'm sure provides favor to his trucking company, bringing parts in from Canada for assembly here in the States. But he'd like another piece of another market if it's emerging. If he can get his hands on this armored transport business, his company fits the bill, and they want to take that pie. And they want to take it so bad that they want to work it into the system, into the law itself, that almost only they could be the ones tapped for this duty. And the fat paycheck that comes with it. It is suggested that Mr. Maroon's trucking company, which also has a monopoly on the bridge to Canada, would benefit
from this unnecessary component to the statute and enjoy total distribution control over the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act. Michigan patients cannot afford to pay more for their medicine. Senator Biden should not be pushing monopolistic schemes that drive up prices, but instead remembering that as individual citizens come first. Urge your state leaders to remove Mr. Biden's monopolistic armored car fix to a problem that does not exist, says the article. I'd just like to remind you again, if you expect in a capitalist society, that's what the foundation of our country is, it's a capitalist country, that big business isn't going to take over the vast majority of any reasonable cash market, you're just off your rocker. You're not in comport with reality. You're out of touch. You don't get it. Big business is going to take this market over. It just doesn't need to have an exclusivity on it. And it doesn't need to be stitched into the law that they're the only ones that get to. Nobody wants it. I mean, it stinks to high heaven from the top, doesn't it? Oh, we're the only ones that get to. And the ones that don't get to, guess what they get to? You know what they get to. So we got more as we're coming up, only about a half an hour left in the program. If you'd like to chime in on anything we're talking about tonight or any night, join us on the Cadillac No Smell phone lines. It's a toll-free number, 844-420-TALK. That's 844-420-8255. We'll see you back on the other side of the break with more news and information. Stand by.
You're getting the full melt.
What's up with these things, Victor?
We decided to give ourselves stickers for each feature we release.
We read about 10,000 suggestions a week to create features that as traders we'd want to use.
10,000 suggestions? Who reads all of those?
He does.
For all the confidence you need, TD Ameritrade. You got this.
At book club, they were asking me what you're doing now, Janice. Blogging. Your blog is just pictures of you in a mirror. It's called a fashion blog, Todd. Well, I've been helping people save money with Progressive's discounts. Flo, can you get Janice a job? You should have stuck to softball. I was so much better at softball than Janice did. Where's your wife, Todd? Vacation. Discounts like homeowners, multi-policy. I got a discount on this ham. I've got the meat sweats. It's good ham, Diane. Paperless discounts. Give it a rest, Flo. Yeah, Flo, give it a rest.
Don't miss the first ever cannabis competition this year as the prize contest moved from Amsterdam to Jamaica. That's right, it's all Jamaican fun now with the Big Cup competition in Negril this November. Get your best travel accommodations now at JamaicaPot.com. Pack your beach bong and swimsuit and party down at the warm sandy beaches of Negril, Jamaica for the first ever big cannabis event this year. Do it in style or come have fun on a budget. Best travel prices now at JamaicaPot.com. That's JamaicaPot.com.
We ask people to tell us something that happened in their past and something that might happen in their future. The good things were put on yellow magnets and the bad ones on blue. The results show the past was a pretty even mix of good and bad, yet the future was almost all good things. Now that you've seen the results of this experiment, what does it mean to you?
We all want to think about positive stuff.
Realistically, there will be downtimes.
It's great to think optimistically, but let's plan for whatever the future might bring.
Prudential, bring your challenges.
If you're like us, your pets aren't just animals. They're members of your family. Pet Pain CBD hemp oil drops are great for aging as well as active dogs and cats. Some people are apprehensive about hemp treatments for pets. They ask us, what are you smoking? Absolutely nothing, and neither will your pet. Like other hemp-based products for humans, the allure is all of the benefits of cannabis without any of the high. The CBD oil has shown to rejuvenate the bones, joints, brain, stomach, eyes, and heart. And the drops contain absolutely no corn, wheat, soy, artificial colors and flavors, or preservatives. Pick some up today. Visit petpain.com or ask for Pet Pain at your local pet store. Petpain.com. CBD relief for your pet.
It's the Full Melt Radio Show.
Where you can hear us every Monday through Friday from 7 until 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 5 days a week.
And if you'd like a copy of the program, it's real easy to get.
Black ocean, cold and dark.
You can subscribe to us on iTunes simply by going to thefullmelt.com. Finding the iTunes link there at the top of the page, click and subscribe. It's just that simple. So there's this other story about the Illinois growers now getting the green light in Chicago, according to the Chicago Tribune, to ship marijuana to stores. Oh, it's been a long time coming, hasn't it? You know, it's been nearly a full 2 years into what's only a 4-year pilot program in the state of Illinois for medical marijuana. Dozens of grow centers across the state have been licensed and producing cannabis since earlier this year, at a tremendous cost. Still to this day, only a few open dispensaries with no product on the shelves. I don't even know if they're really open. They're just licensed because they're only getting the permission today to start sending that product. Dateline, Chicago. Medical marijuana growers in Illinois have been notified by the state officials that they can start shipping their product to dispensaries Friday for sale to patients early next week. Growers who've been waiting for the official green light received an Illinois Department of Agriculture letter late Thursday explaining how marijuana can be transported. Illinois Medical Cannabis Program Director Joseph Wright confirmed the authorization Friday to the Associated Press. It states that they're thrilled. Marijuana can be transported only between 7 a.m. and 9 p.m., according to the official instructions. Vehicles carrying it must be staffed by at least 2 cultivation center employees. A spokesman for the Revolution Cannabis Delavan, a cultivation center in central Illinois, said that they're absolutely thrilled and they plan to ship products to dispensaries this weekend. Licensed businesses are connected to the state's digital tracking system, which is intended to prevent marijuana from being diverted into the black market. Growers must enter unique product ID numbers into the system before they can ship. Florida-based BioTrack THC, which has the Illinois contract for tracking medical marijuana from seed to sale, has similar state contracts in Washington, New Mexico, and New York, said CEO Patrick Vo. The tracking system allows state officials to monitor in real time the location of seedlings, sale products, and even plant waste scheduled for destruction. In the system, any change in quantity requires some type of action or description, Vo said. The system also is designed to catch violators who might add black market marijuana to the legitimate system, Vo said. Tracking each product protects patients with weakened immune systems from marijuana that hasn't been tested for harmful microbes, poisons, from fungus to pesticides and solvents. I'm certain there are a lot of people on the fence about Illinois' pilot program. And remember, it is indeed a pilot program, which, after much delay, because it took them a great deal of time, after enacting the pilot program, to actually start doing anything inside of its framework. And I don't know if this was intentional or not, but it doesn't really matter. If you got a 4-year pilot program and you don't get it started for the first 2 years, don't you think common sense would say, if you intended to have a 4-year pilot program, that the 4-year program should start when the program begins, not when you incept it? It's not going to be that way. You're only going to have... So these guys spent this license money, and it probably has to be annually renewed, if I'm not mistaken, to grow all this marijuana. And now there's another shoe I'm about to drop on you here. I mean, think of it this way. Remember, I told you that dozens of these grow centers where they're producing, they're manufacturing according to current law. I always thought that the process of growing could never be labeled as a manufacturing process, but apparently that's how the government looks at agriculture. They don't talk about that way in the budget, do they? They don't talk about the manufacturing sector of the economy as agricultural, do they? Illinois has 3,300 patients. Put another way, that's 3,300 patients approved for the program. And if I'm not mistaken, 8 dispensaries open, are at least fully licensed. They're located in Marion, Mundelein, Canton, Quincy, Addison, North Aurora, Schaumburg, and Ottawa. Those are the 8 in Illinois, serving 3,300 patients across the state. That's it. That's all they got. Now, you compare that to Michigan's program. It's always had somewhere in, 110,000 participants in this program or more. I've never seen it below that. 110,000 patients, probably in a state that is less populous than Illinois. I mean, Illinois does have the 3rd largest city in the state. There's, 6 or 7 million people in Chicago, just in Chicago proper, that live there. I think the largest city currently in Michigan pales in comparison. It would be Detroit, still the largest city in Michigan. Only a meager 700,000 residents there remaining, most of them poor and broke and leftovers hanging on to the bankruptcy and its new solution. The new Detroit, the rebirth, the renaissance, the phoenix burning and rising from its ashes into a bird once again. Is that going to happen? Tough to say, isn't it? They're still putting patients here in Michigan in prison over pot. Bay County couple recently arrested by Baynet for their medical marijuana garden. This according to MLive. Dateline to Bay City. A Bangor Township couple is facing felony charges due to police alleging they ran a large-scale illegal marijuana operation on the medical angle. Sandra K. Dabrowski, 63, and David A. Dabrowski, 64, both charged with delivering or manufacturing marijuana. Charges a 4-year felony. According to court records contained in a police report, the Bay Area Narcotics Enforcement Team, or Baynet, received a tip via Crime Stoppers that the Dabrowskis were running an illegal marijuana operation out of their home in the 2900 block of Bangor Road. The tipster estimating there were about 100 plants. On April 27th, the deputy with Baynet, according to court records, conducted a trash pull from the Dabrowskis' residence and recovered 2 suspected pot plants and about 4,297.8 grams of trimmed plants and stem material, according to records. The next day, Baynet and officers from the Bay City Department of Public Safety's Viper Unit executed a search warrant on the couple's home. Officers locating some 96 plants on the property, as well as 11 mason jars containing marijuana oil. One room had a basket with 37.7 grams of loose marijuana and 10 containers filled with about 1,400 grams of processed pot, according to court records. Under the state's Medical Marijuana Act, patients can have 2.5 ounces of usable marijuana, and caregivers can grow up to 12 plants, producing 2.5 ounces of usable marijuana for each of their 5 patients and themselves. Police informed David Dabrowski that he and his wife could legally have 132 plants between them and a maximum of 27.5 ounces of processed marijuana, though police estimate they had 3 times that amount of the latter, according to the court records. When I asked David to explain why they had so much processed marijuana, he advised that he didn't understand the Marijuana Act and how it describes, quote, processed marijuana, end quote. See, it's a sticky wicket if you don't know the rules. If you don't know the definitions of these words, don't be growing pot lest you expect to have your pets shot in front of your kids and be hauled off in silvery, shiny cuffs. Even though you're a sick person or your patients are sick, they don't care. They do not care. He didn't understand the Medical Marijuana Act and how it describes processed marijuana, the interviewing officer wrote in his report contained in court records. He stated that a dispensary told them the marijuana becomes processed marijuana when it's done drying out, has been trimmed and packaged for delivery. Well, first off, that's not far off the truth. It's not exactly the truth, but Were I you, I wouldn't be getting my definition of what usable marijuana is from a dispensary. Why don't you ask the guy that's running the ice cream truck how to spell a word? How do you spell existentialism, Mr. Ice Cream Truck Driver? Trying to write the word existentialism. Do you know how to spell that word? David Dabrowski went on to say he farms and cares for the plants while his wife handles the trimming, packaging, and distribution end, adding he knew it was illegal to divvy up responsibilities this way, court records show. Facepalm. When asked about the marijuana oil, he said he makes medibles out of it. Facepalm. Court records show. David Dabrowski has a wife. He also went on to say that they supply pot to fewer than 5 people who aren't their patients. Facepalm. But that they had their medical marijuana cards. Oh, if that matters. As if that mattered at all. He said he charges one of his patients $130 an ounce and everyone else $200 an ounce. According to court records. Facepalm. Really? He said he's retired from General Motors and makes $3,000 a month from his pension, while his wife is on disability and receives $2,700 a month, according to court records. Sandra told police much the same story, declined to comment when asked about providing marijuana to non-patients. Authorities issued warrants for the Dabrowskis on September 9th. They voluntarily appeared for arraignment in the court. 2 days later, they're both to appear for a preliminary exam coming up soon.
You're getting the full melt.
Young students are our future. They're eager to learn, eager to succeed, eager to make the world a better place. And they want to make it to school safely. Share the road, take care when passing, and always leave 3 feet between you and people on bikes. Bikes are legal road vehicles. We're all drivers.
Imagine a world where patients can use marijuana like any other medicine. The Marijuana Patients Organization challenges the status quo by helping our neighbors to enjoy a better quality of life. Visit the MPO at marijuanapatients.org and enjoy informative articles, engaging debates, and information about treatments, doctors, and dispensaries in your area. Over 50,000 people have registered at marijuanapatients.org since 2010. Join us at the Marijuana Patients Organization today, marijuanapatients.org.
Hey, it's Steve Green for the Sweet Leaf in Flint, because now getting safe access to medical cannabis patients in Flint, Michigan is never more welcoming. Presenting the Sweet Leaf, a brand new patient experience bringing 12 carefully selected caregivers housed in 9 separate offices to distinctly assist you with their knowledge and reputation for excellent patient care. Classes and training coming soon in the large community room. Check it out in person, 400 South Door Highway, or call 810-259-2571. The Sweet Leaf Center in Flint, 810-259-2571.
If you're like us, your pets aren't just animals. They're members of your family. Pet Pain CBD hemp oil drops are great for aging as well as active dogs and cats. Some people are apprehensive about hemp treatments for pets. They ask us, what are you smoking? Absolutely nothing, and neither will your pet. Like other hemp-based products for humans, the allure is all of the benefits of cannabis without any of the high. The CBD oil has shown to rejuvenate the bones, joints, brain, stomach, eyes, and heart. And the drops contain absolutely no corn, wheat, soy, artificial colors and flavors, or preservatives. Pick some up today. Visit petpain.com or ask for Pet Pain at your local pet store. petpain.com. CBD relief for your pets.
It's the Full Melt Radio Show.
Coming to you live from the petpain.com studios. At least for another 8 minutes of the program this beautiful Friday evening. Gonna be looking forward to going out to the Great Lakes Canna Expo. Got to give some tickets away. If you want some now, call us at 844-420-8255. We'll throw you a pair to go on out there. It's going on tonight, tomorrow, and Sunday all day. I know that there's another thing, too. What is it? There's an event happening, and I think this is going on all through football season.
So if you're a medical marijuana patient, you're in the Detroit area, you want to go out and check out, some kind, like a bit of a new venue. It's I guess it's really not a new venue. It's an old one. It's been around for a while. They did this last year and the year before, I think. Smokin' Sundays, NFL Smokin' Sundays at the Cush Bar. It's at 14010 Woodward in Highland Park. Every Sunday of the NFL season from 12:30 until 7, you can come and medicate and socialize with fellow medical marijuana patients while enjoying NFL Sunday football on the big flat screens. Highest quality medicine, all NFL games on flat screens, full-service waitress, music and food, TVs in every seating booth, games, raffles, and giveaways. It's hosted by Willie Jespo, or Jepso. $10 all day. If you want details, there's an 800 number. It's 888-369-3320. It's at the Cush Bar. It's put on by the antfarmcc.org. It should be a good time if you want to go do that. So maybe you could go out to the Great Lakes Canna Expo. That's at Burt's Warehouse Complex down across from the Eastern Market, if they're in the Eastern Market District. Oh, great place. Great time down there. Go down there, and then maybe if you're going down there on Sunday, afterwards, head on over to the place up there in Highland Park and check out the game and, have a little more fun. Check out more of Detroit and what it's got to offer. It's not your father's Buick, is it? I don't know. It's not your father's Detroit? What is it? It certainly isn't your father's Detroit. And your father abused Detroit. What's wrong with you? What else? Is there anything else I can tell you about what was going on? I know there's more. There's a little bit more. Let me just see. Because I don't know. There's a lot. There's always, it would seem to be top heavy on busts today. A lot of busts going down in different places because it's pot season, so, the targets are wide. Just the top 10 Google ones. Bernie Sanders, we talked about this earlier today. Bernie Sanders is introducing a bill. I can't talk tonight. I've got a little. I was eating a sandwich during the break, and it's coming back to revisit me and interrupting my speech. Say this again. Bernie Sanders introducing a bill to end the federal ban on pot. It's called the Ending Federal Marijuana Prohibition Act. It would remove it from Schedule 1. So that would be an awesome thing. I told you about Illinois. The push for legal marijuana spreads. See, you gotta be careful about the way you write these headlines. What is a legal marijuana spread? Are you talking about butter? They're making butter into spread now? I can't believe it's not marijuana. No, they're talking about the legalization push is spreading. And then what the story's referring to, the Mexico thing, because you got the Canadians to the north and their new prime minister with their party platform, hey, we're going to legalize marijuana here. You got the Mexican Supreme Court opening the gateway for legal marijuana there. Everybody's getting on the bandwagon. Is it insured? I don't know. Miami man accused of selling candy laced with marijuana. See, that's a bust thing. Marijuana nearing legalization. Iowans weighing in. I'll tell you about that. Omaha tribal members approving referendums, most recently just on Election Day. Back there on, what is it, Tuesday? Maybe I'll do this. Oh, do we have time? I don't know. We're going to give it a shot anyways. I'll just play it for you. Because oh, geez, I'm sitting on the cord. Ah! No, the microphone. The microphone was sitting on the cord. That's what was going on. I'm just going to play it for you. See if it goes. Keep your fingers crossed that it doesn't make a commercial happen because I'll have to dip it out.
Stivers is Iowa.
Oh, see, it's going to make a commercial happen. It's an Iowa commercial, and nobody cares. People buying cars in Iowa. Blah, blah, blah. Wait for the spot to go by. Oh, no, so I already played this, didn't I?
Marijuana is not legal in Iowa right now, but it could soon be growing in the state.
In the future, western Iowa might be home to a booming marijuana business.
I think it might be beneficial.
I really don't think we need to have
a place where it's available.
A Native American tribe based out of northeast Nebraska with land in Iowa has its eyes on Monona County. Omaha tribal leaders approved referendums giving the tribal council authority to legalize marijuana for recreational and medicinal use, as well as to grow plants for hemp. Closer to home, near Tama, home to the Sac and Fox tribe, we asked people what they thought about the possibility of pot on the Meskwaki settlement.
The only thing I see is more people coming in to get high, but they'll probably just be at that resort the whole time, you know?
So it won't really impact you guys too?
Won't really impact us now, but I could see people getting mad about it.
If they were controlling it, I would have no problem with it.
It wouldn't bother me at all because I wouldn't have a thing to do with it.
State drug control policy leaders say pot in Iowa is a bad idea.
Is it worth it to have some additional revenue if in the end you're going to be harming your young people and you're going to be putting people's lives at risk?
We did reach out to the Sac and Fox tribe, but their communications person was unavailable today. Near Tama, Vanessa Payne, KCCI 8 News, Iowa's news leader.
I see the prohibition messaging. It just never ceases to amaze me. It comes from every angle, out of every cop's mouth possible, except for those that leave the profession and no longer are feeling the pressure from their colleagues to speak out against this. They got to go off to become members of the law enforcement against prohibition. LEAP is a tremendous organization. It's got lawyers, prosecutors, judges, all speaking out against prohibition because it's such a horrible policy. And they've seen from the inside how it's terribly abused and misused at the expense of pretty much, absent their use of cannabis, innocent people. Regular, ordinary, everyday citizens of this country being made wholly criminal by that act alone. It's un-American. I don't care what substance it is. I don't care if it's some giant explosive. If nobody's hurting anybody and nobody got hurt, oh, people see now they're gonna jump on the giant explosive thing. I'm just exaggerating a point for dramatic effect. Get over yourself. It doesn't matter the substance. You can't mistreat people who've done nothing violent with the criminal justice system. If they haven't hurt anybody, and their only quote unquote crime in your eyes is that they were in possession of or distributed some substance, that they should somehow be made into monsters in the eyes of society. And I'm not saying that, I'm not condoning their activity in that way. Not. I could condone their activity, but I'm not making that statement here. I'm not defending that point. My point is this. They aren't a threat to you. Look, they're a threat to themselves, if nothing else. And if you really wanted to take the money away from the bad people, you let the people that are going to find access to these substances any which way they choose right now, you take that away from them and make them go to a place where you're giving them what you know is that substance. And then at least they can walk away safely with whatever it is that they got from you, knowing that that's what they got and what it is and how much it is. They're going to go use this stuff anyways. Why not provide it to them and take that money away from the criminals who would choose to maim and murder and cause mayhem? That's ultimately the bottom line argument here. As medical marijuana is the skirt for retail cannabis, so is this legalization movement of marijuana for all of the rest of the drug war. Make no mistake.
The Full Melt Show is a production of TFM Media.